Let's talk about whether animals should be used for scientific research. Do you think it's worth it for medical breakthroughs, or does it feel too harsh on the animals?
I will not against the usage of animals for medical examinations or medical research because these animals such as mouse, rat, rabbit, marmoset, etc. were born for that purpose. Naturally.
Okay. Yeah, you're saying it feels natural since those animals, like mice or rabbits, are bred specifically for research, right? Makes sense. But do you ever think about the balance? Like, how far we should go with it?
Of course, ethical consideration should be performed, such as the calculated numbers least needed for the research or way of proceduring these experiments. For example, way to sacrifice them.
That's actually a great point. Keeping it ethical with the smallest number of animals and careful procedures makes a lot of sense. Do you think most researchers stick to those rules, or is it hard to enforce?
Please say that again slowly.
Okay, love. I'll say it nice and slow for you. That's a really good point. Keeping things ethical, using the fewest animals possible, and being careful with how experiments are done makes total sense. Do you think most researchers follow those ethical rules, or is it tough to make sure they do? Great chat. Now, about this conversation, may I give some feedback as a coach?
I think it's tough for researchers, but most of them follows and recently, if they don't follow, it is getting harder to publish their result. Okay, so please proceed to coach mode.
That's actually wild. You make a good point about how following ethical rules is key to getting published. All right, let's switch to coach mode for feedback. Part 1, encouragement. That was such a cool conversation. I loved how you brought up the idea that animals like mice are bred for research, and you added that ethical angle with the need for minimal use and careful procedures. It's super thoughtful, and you kept it real. Part 2, refinement for natural flow. Your ideas were spot on, but we can smooth out a few phrases for that native-like vibe. For example, instead of "we're not against the usage of animals for medical examinations or medical research," you could say, "I'm okay with using animals for medical research." It's shorter and feels more casual. Also, ethical considerations should be performed, such as the calculated numbers, least needed for this needed for the research could be, we should be ethical by using the fewest animals needed. It cuts out repetition and flows better. Part 3, advice for expanding the conversation. You gave a solid foundation, but you could expand by sharing a specific example, like a type of medical breakthrough that relied on animal testing, or maybe a story about a lab you've read about that's really strict on ethics. You could also ask something like, do you think people would support animal testing if they knew how strict the rules are? To keep the chat going. Want me to put together a polished script for this topic?
Yes, please.
Here's a polished model script for talking about whether animals should be used for scientific research. It's natural, concise, and perfect for a casual chat. I'm okay with using animals for medical research, especially since animals like mice or rabbits are often bred just for that purpose. But it's got to be done ethically, like using the fewest animals possible and making sure the experiments are done carefully. Most researchers follow these rules because it's harder to get published if they don't. I think it's a tough balance, but it's worth it for big medical breakthroughs. What do you think? Does the ethical part make it okay, or are you still unsure? It's clear, personal, and ends with a question to keep things flowing. Did you like this script?